Good morning. Here's my outfit of the day. This dress I'm wearing here is, I don't know if you can tell, but it's gray and white leopard print, and I bought this from Francesca's a few years ago, the boutique shop. I am wearing a red belt. I'm not sure where it came from, but it didn't come with this dress. This red necklace here, I'm pretty sure I ordered this online. But again, I don't remember where because it's a couple years old. And then I'm actually, you know what? I think I got this necklace from Francesca's also. So, and then I'm wearing these shoes here, and I just realized I forgot to put on a watch, but I will probably put on my gold watch and a couple of bracelets. So I will talk to you on my way to work. See you in a few. Good morning. It is Monday, obviously, and I say good morning to you already, but good morning again. I am not feeling very well, so I know on Friday I said I really needed a bed 7, and it sounds like a lot of you who watched also need one. I still need it, especially because now I think I really am just sick. Like, I'm not the sickest I've ever been, but I definitely don't feel well. So Saturday I woke up fine, and I actually spent the day at my parents' house, and I had to take my whole desktop computer, I have an Apple, and take the whole desktop to my mom's house because I usually edit these vlogs on Fridays, and then I try and upload them overnight so that on Saturday they're there, and I just need to like add a thumbnail and all that to it. But it just would not upload on Saturday. And my internet, since the first day of school, if you watched the very first episode, has been very spotty. So I was planning to go to my mom's house to spend some time with my family, but I was nervous about leaving my computer here, thinking that it was going to be uploading to YouTube, knowing that there's a possibility that it wouldn't, because the length of my videos, it could take them 4, 5, 6 hours to upload. So anyway, I took my whole desktop with me to my mom's house on Saturday so that I could upload this last week's vlog, and I pretty much just worked on prepping for parent conferences all Saturday at my mom's house. And I felt fine. I didn't feel sick at all. And then Sunday morning I woke up with a sore throat. And I don't get sick often, but when I do get sick, it's usually a sore throat. And that's been the same since I've been a little girl. Like, I don't get sick, but when I would get sick, I would get strep throat, and it would be like a severe case. So I don't think it's going to get anywhere near that bad. But yesterday, I just felt run down. I had a lot of things that I intended to do. Like, I intended to go to school yesterday to get everything pulled out and set up for my conferences today. I intended to go grocery shopping and all the other things I do on a Sunday, but I just did not have the energy. So I basically only got laundry done. I did a little bit more work in preparing for conferences, and I edited the math video that needs to go up for today's math lesson. And then I did my laundry and put it away. But the whole time I just was worn out. Like, my mom was over yesterday, and I ended up having to go to Target because I needed a couple things, and just standing in Target, like physically standing, was exhausting to me. So with that being said, I didn't eat dinner last night because I had no appetite. I pretty much had an airborne, or 2 airbornes for dinner, and a Theraflu for dessert. So I'm feeling a little bit better than I did yesterday now. So that's how my weekend went. As far as today, I have my first conference at 7:45. It's 7 o'clock on the dot right now. So I'm going to get all my stuff pulled out for that conference and for the rest of the conferences that I have today. And my intention is, after school or at some point today, just to kind of share with you how I do my parent-teacher conferences, from the moment of scheduling them to actually holding them. Oh my gosh, a car just jumped right in front of me. So yeah, so I'm gonna go to my classroom right now, get everything ready for my first conference, and then I will check in with you guys at some point today and just kind of share with you how I schedule conferences, what I share at conferences, and all of that. So, and it will be a little bit different than I have done them in years past, because in years past we were doing conferences at the end of the trimester and not the midway mark of the trimester. So I hope you all have a great Monday morning, and I'll talk to you in a little bit. It's 10:38 and I thought I'd check in with you guys to first show you what my classroom looks like at recess time. So the kids just went to recess about 5 minutes ago. So here is what the class looks like at about recess time. We do math from about 9 to 10:30. We had library this morning from 8:45 to 9:15. So we got a little bit of a late start, but I did want to show you today's math lesson because this is one of my favorite ones because it really does bring some clarity to some of the strategies that we teach using Common Core Math. So we use Go Math, and this is lesson 3.6, where it is decimal subtraction. And in this particular lesson, they are subtracting using what's called a quick picture. So I think I showed you a clip of a math lesson a couple of weeks ago where we were using base 10 blocks, but it was not for this particular lesson. I think it was for division. I can't remember, but this is one where we start off the lesson with base 10 blocks. So I know at my school and in my district, when we first adopted Go Math, a lot of teachers were very reluctant to actually pull out manipulatives at this grade level because it feels like, oh, it's a waste. I don't really have time to be pulling out manipulatives. And so sometimes it would be very tempting to skip those lessons. So my particular grade level that year, even when we had those moments where we were like, really, do we want to take out the manipulatives? We forced ourselves to do it because it was our first year with the program, and we really just kind of wanted to see, was it useful? And I'm glad we did, because it was. So this is one of those lessons where you start off with base 10 blocks, and what I like about it is showing kids what regrouping is. And I told the kids, when you go home tonight and you talk with your parents, just explain that to them. Like, this lesson is just to show you what you're doing when you regroup. So I always start with this example here. This is the first problem as an example from the lesson. So they are subtracting 84 hundredths minus 56 hundredths. And while we're doing it together, I will do it this way, which is what I call like the traditional way. This is what parents are accustomed to seeing. And I will simultaneously do it this way. And while I'm doing that, kids are working out the problem using their base 10 blocks. So, you know, here we're taking 4 hundredths and we're subtracting 6 hundredths. And here we've modeled 84 hundredths. So to start, we had 8 tenths and 4 hundredths modeled. And then when we got to the point where we realized, well, we only have 4 hundredths to start, how are we going to subtract 6 hundredths? Then we went with our pieces. We regrouped one of the tenths, which explains to them and parents when you would be borrowing and regrouping why that 8 became a 7. And then we took that tenth and we created 10 more hundredths, which also explains why when you're borrowing and regrouping the old-fashioned way, you end up with the 14. So I really like this lesson because it always is eye-opening to students, and it makes them buy into the lesson a little bit more. And then this is a lesson that I created a YouTube video for, so I do explain that, and hopefully when parents watch that video, they start to see, oh, there is some method to this madness. So that's what we did today. We did some examples together because this is how their homework has to be done. They have to solve it using quick pictures. And then when we get back from recess, this was a word problem that they were given. So they were told a student left this diagram out, and they have to now create a word problem that matches that quick picture or diagram. So I just want to check in with you and tell you that. I had my first parent conference this morning at 7:45. It was nice and easy. It went well. And so I will be probably spending my lunch making sure I have everything pulled out excuse me, for the rest of the conferences I have today. So I just want to check in with you to tell you about that math lesson and the importance of using manipulatives even in 5th grade, because it really does help a lot of the kids see things that they weren't really understanding before. So I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my recess, and I will talk to you guys after school. Have a good afternoon. Good morning. Here's my outfit of the day. Today I'm wearing, yes, a camouflage dress that I got from a clearance rack in Old Navy. I'm pretty sure this dress was $9, and so I'm wearing it. Here are some brown sandals that I have. I don't know where they came from because my mom gave them to me. I'm wearing my gold Michael Kors watch and this link bracelet here that I got from Francesca's. And then I have a very inexpensive nameplate watch that I'm watching here, or that I'm wearing there. So I will see you guys in a little bit. It's It's a little bit of a stressful morning. I still am not feeling well, and I actually feel like I feel a little bit worse than I did yesterday. It's 7:36 and my first conference is at 7:45, and I hate getting there right when the conference starts, but I really couldn't even help it this morning because I can't move as fast. I'm tired. I obviously didn't go to the gym this morning, and when I don't go to the gym, it kind of throws my morning routine off a little bit. So I meant to check in with you guys yesterday to kind of go over how my first day of conferences went, but I got tied up. A phone call's coming. Hold on 1 second. Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Are you almost here?
Yeah, is my conference there?
Yeah. Do you have one today? She said she wasn't sure if she had the right date.
I have it at 7:45, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll let her know.
Yeah, I'll be there.
That's fine. Okay. All right, bye.
So my conference is there a little bit early. She wasn't sure if it was today, but it is. So yeah, I meant to check in with you guys yesterday, but I was busy with conferences and then prepping them for today, and then I just came home and tried to rest a little bit because I wasn't feeling that great. I watched the debates last night. I won't make any comments on that. This is a political free channel, but I did that. I did some grading and I went to bed. So this week I hope to show you just little aspects of conferences, like how I schedule them, how I prepare for them, and what do I do or give and or say in the midst of a conference. So I will be checking in along the way throughout the week. I have a feeling this week might be a little bit shorter because I will be just doing conferences all day. My mom's coming today. She's going to be helping with the book fair because we have the book fair going on at my school, and we have a bullying or an anti-bullying assembly today. So I will try and show you those things as well. So I'm going to focus on my driving because my conference is there, and I will talk to you guys later on today. Have a great morning, everyone. See you in a little while.
Big school, big class, and on the first day of school, Matt was given all this homework. In fact, it was so much homework, it was so overwhelming. Not knowing anybody, having all this homework in this huge school and class. All Matthew could do was put his head in his arm, put his arm down on the desk, and Matthew just started to cry. And when he looked up, he saw there were a couple students staring at him across the class. And one of the students, she smiled and she waved. And Matthew wiped the tears from his eyes and sat up in his chair and took a deep breath and tried to smile and wave back. And Matthew thought, well, at least this is a friendly school. What Matthew didn't know is there was a student behind him that saw him crying, and he wasn't going to be as nice.
Good afternoon. It's 4:15. My mom is still here. You want to be on camera? She doesn't want to be on camera. She's still here. She helped at the book fair today from 10 to 2. And then she spent the rest of the day with me because she just loves me so much. She spent the rest of the day with me, so she's been here since about 10 o'clock. And I just wanted to give you guys a couple of tidbits on Parent Conference Week as the week progresses. So yesterday I finished my first full day of conferences. Today I finished my last conference at about 3:15, so about an hour ago, and I scheduled them for about every 15 minutes. So for yesterday and today I've had them back to back. So I usually have one in the morning from 7:45 to 8, and then the rest will be after school in 15-minute increments. So I just wanted to talk about how I schedule them. In years past, like I said before, we would have parent conferences at the end of the trimester. So around a month before the trimester ends, I would send home a conference time request form, and then parents would kind of send those back, and they would just kind of trickle in one by one. This year, one of the teachers on my team, Mrs. Meredith, who is Mrs. Chu's job share partner, said to us, well, I used to, because she used to be a full-time teacher. She retired last year. Now, she retired 2 years ago. She took a full year off, and then she came back this year as just a 20% job share partner. So she was saying when she taught a full school year, she would always pass hers out on back to school night, because you have most of your parents there. So she'd hand them out, have them put in their request, and she could collect a lot of them right away by doing that. So we tried it this year and it did work really well. So I passed out first this form at back to school night. So this was the sign up sheet that they were given, and what they were told to do was they had to choose their first, second, and third time slots. Even though you put it down as your first choice, I can't necessarily guarantee that everyone's going to get their first choice in terms of time slot, but I always do my best to make sure they get one of those 3 time slots, and I've been pretty successful doing that since I've been scheduling conferences this way. So they know that they'll at least get one of those 3. So some of the parents gave it right back to me that night at back to school night, and then some sent them in, and I think I gave them about a week or so to return them after back to school night. Then I take those returned copies back and I put them in the schedule. And you know, I always try and shoot for the first choice, but then if the first choice doesn't work, I check to see if I can fit them in using their second choice, and then if that doesn't work, then I go to their third choice. If I have a parent that either they never came to back to school night to get the request form, I also sent the hard copy of the request form home in their weekly folders, and if one parent or a parent never sends in the request for whatever reason, I will schedule them after I schedule all the other parents that put in their request, so that they got priority. So once I do that and I get all the forms back and that's all said and done, I create the actual schedule, which ends up looking like this. So here is my actual parent-teacher conference schedule for this week. It looks a lot like the request form, but now it has actual student names in it. And at the top, it tells them that this is the finalized schedule, and that if they want to make any sort of changes, that they need to contact the office. So the office ladies, or the secretaries, are nice enough to reschedule our conferences for us. So once I have the conference schedule made, I create a distribution list of my parents' emails, and then I email them an electronic copy of the schedule so that they have it for their reference. And I also email it to them so that if for some reason
The office is now closing.
the office is closing. So if for some reason they need to reschedule it, they have a copy of the schedule and they can see what time slots are available still. And then when they call the office, they can call with the specific time that they want to reschedule their conference to. So the office will reschedule them, and then they will email me to say so-and-so rescheduled their conference on this day at this time. Then I will go back into my Excel spreadsheet, make the changes, and then I will update the parents with a new updated version of the conference schedule. So anytime something changes on the schedule, I re-email it out to all the parents so that they always have the most current and up-to-date parent-teacher conference schedule. And I've done that part since I can remember, and it seems to work really well. And then in terms of sending out reminders just before their conference time is due, of course I used to send out little half sheets of paper that said, okay, your conference is for tomorrow, don't forget. Now that I use Remind, I just send out a text message to the group of parents who I'm seeing the following day, and that has worked well. This is the first year that I'm sticking to using Remind as a reminder. So that's pretty much it. That's all I'm going to show you today in terms of handling parent conferences, and then tomorrow maybe I'll talk about what do I hand out at parent conferences, and then another day share what actually do I share, what kind of information am I giving parents during parent conference week. So that's it. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't think I am. So I hope you guys had a great Thursday. It's not Thursday. It's only Tuesday. I hope you guys had a great Tuesday, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good evening. Bye. Good morning. Here's my outfit of the day. Today I am wearing a dress from Old Navy that I bought a few years ago. This denim vest is from The Gap. I'm wearing some very simple, inexpensive sandals that I also got from Old Navy several years ago. My silver Fossil watch here, and my bracelet from Tiffany's. I'm also wearing a silver necklace that has my initial on it, my last name initials. So I will talk to you guys in a little bit. It's 9:15. I am currently in my classroom. Obviously, my kids are at PE, and I need to pick them up in 5 minutes. So I've been spending my prep hour, or my prep time,
getting ready for today. Like that's never a situation you want to be in where you're prepping for the day while you're in the day. But I have my lesson plans in place. I just didn't know if I had the copies that I needed to get through today. So it's a minimum day, so all I'm really going to get through is a math lesson. And today's math lesson is teaching them how to estimate sums and differences, which is pretty straightforward. There's only one part of the lesson that might get a little iffy because we talk about how kids can use benchmarks to help them decide how to round a decimal. But that's not like the core piece of the lesson. It's kind of just a strategy to teach them, so it's not too stressful there. But my big thing that I was focused on just now is, you know, making sure that I am using Wonders to the best of my ability. So as you know, I'm still battling it out with Wonders. Every week it gets a little bit better. And as far as the Connect Ed part of Wonders is concerned, I am officially off schedule with that. So I am currently on Unit 1, Week 4. I think all my online resources have automatically transitioned to Unit 1, Week 5. And that's fine because my team, and I think just about everybody at my site, and probably in this district at this point, has decided to kind of slow down with Wonders and take the time they need now that we've officially gotten the permission to do that from our administrators in our district. So one of the shortcomings that we feel Wonders has as of right now is it does not teach like the mechanics of writing, and I may have mentioned that before, but it gives prompts and opportunities to write, but just how do you write is kind of lacking. So we use Step Up to Writing at my school, which is this here. And Step Up to Writing is just kind of like a comprehensive writing program that covers just like writing for different genres, writing for comprehension. It's just very elaborate in terms of how many lessons you can pull from it. So what I'm choosing to do, what I'm choosing to do is merging the prompt that is in this week's lessons with Wonders and using that prompt to teach an actual writing lesson on how to write an explanatory paragraph. So this week we read a very brief biography about a man named Arthur Clarke, I think his name was. Let me double check. Yes, Arthur Clarke was a science fiction writer and had a great imagination, and it just so happens that a lot of his imaginative ideas actually became reality and are the reason why we're able to enjoy some of the technological advances that we have today. So this particular prompt asked the kids to describe how the author helped us to understand Clarke's idea for a wireless system, and they have to include text evidence. So that is an explanatory or an informational paragraph. So I have gone to my lesson book for Step Up to Writing. They have some lessons on how to properly write an explanatory or informative paragraph. So I'm going to teach the writing lesson using the Wonders prompt, therefore merging the two. So to start, we're gonna give them, or I'm gonna give them this form. And Step Up to Writing uses the colors to start: green, yellow, and red. Green means go, so all topic sentences and conclusion sentences are written in green. Yellow means slow down, give some transitional phrases to get to the next thought. Red means you're gonna stop and give some details. So this first form just kind of teaches them that color coding system. The next form still talks about the color coding system, but just kind of puts those colors to words and gives them a chart. And I will have the kids put these in their reference binders. Then we're gonna practice color coding a outline that was already made, and then seeing how this outline goes to this paragraph. So we're gonna practice color coding both of those. And then they're gonna start practicing creating their own outline for that prompt I just read. So we're gonna talk about before a writer writes, a good writer has a plan, and this is the form that we're gonna use. So they're gonna come up with the title, their topic sentence, their conclusion sentence, and then their notes for the outline in between, and we will color code this. So I don't know that I'll get through all of that today, but I am hoping to get through a good portion of it. And then once they've done all of that, I'm going to give them time to actually write the paragraph. And I've decided to assign this through Google Classroom, so I've put that in there. So here it is. So their prompt says fantasy becomes fact. It tells them that it's an explanatory writing assignment, and then I just give them the prompt straight from the book. In the biography, fantasy becomes fact. How did the author help us to understand Clarke's idea for a wireless system? Include text evidence, and your completed assignment must include your color-coded planning page. So that is what my plan is. I am determined to make wonders work in my life and use it to the best of my ability and take advantage of all the good parts that are in it, and at the same time supplementing it in areas that I feel it needs. And I'm determined that we are going to get some student work on these walls because this is out of hand. So I just thought I'd check in with you to tell you how I spent my prep this morning. And it is now 9:21, so I'm 1 minute late. I gotta go get my kids, but I will talk to you guys a little bit later. Have a great day. Okay, so it is about 5:15. I finished my conferences probably an hour or so ago. And since then I've been prepping for my conferences that I have tomorrow. Today I had a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 conferences. One right before school, and then the rest were all after school. So today I thought I'd share with you what I actually hand out to parents when I do their parent conference, and hopefully that's helpful to you. So the first thing that I'm going to show you actually is something I bought off of Teachers Pay Teachers, and it is from Misfit, I believe, and she sells a conference pack, and there's a lot of things included with it. So there's a reminder letter, there's a sign-up sheet that the parents can use to request a time, there's student self-evaluations, but all I've really used it for so far have been the snapshot sheets that she created. So they look something like this. I've changed like the fonts and things, and I'm covering up the student's name obviously. So it just says a snapshot, and then you put the student's name. And my categories are work habits, reading level, language arts, math, and social studies. So they have these categories, and then I either rank them as being below, on, or above, and I write a little description as to how I came to that conclusion, or what I used it for. I was saying goodbye to Mrs. Haston. What I use it for, and we kind of discuss it along the way. It's very brief, and it really is literally a snapshot. The next section down here is work habits. So you have all these different lists of things that are considered work habits, and they're ranked as either never doing something, sometimes doing something, often doing something, or always. And some of them are, well, they're all positive things, like demonstrates good work ethic, respects others, problem solves independently. So I just kind of choose where I think that student falls. And then on the little side here, I changed what she had there. It said a little bit, it said something else. But on the side there, I put some tips that parents could use to kind of support their child in 5th grade in my class. So they sit down, I go over this. Well, first I ask them if they have questions on the progress reports before we get started on that. And if they do, I address those questions, and then we discuss what's on here. And then if they have questions about that, we'll discuss that. One of the things that I have done in parent conferences this year, since we're doing guided reading now and leveling, is if their child is below where they should be in terms of their reading level with Fountas and Pinnell, I will show them where they should be at and what that piece of text looks like versus where they are at. So today I had kind of a challenging a challenging conference, because I had a parent where I had to tell them your child should be at a level S, which is a passage that looks like this. So it has a front and it has a back, but they're actually reading at a level H, which is really a 2nd grade level. So if I just said your child should be at an S, but they're an H, for a lot of parents that doesn't really mean anything to them. They don't really know what you're saying exactly. And even if you say they should be reading at a 5th grade level, but right now they're reading at a 2nd grade level, they understand that, but sometimes you really need them to see a visual. So you need them to see that this is what they're supposed to be able to read and discuss and answer questions on. But right now they're reading something that looks like this, you know, and that is very powerful for a parent to see, so they really understand the situation that their child is currently in. And that's hard to say, but it's all in your presentation. So you definitely want to choose your words wisely. You want to be diplomatic in how you say it. You want to find some positives. So say, you know, I am working with your child, and these are the things that we're going to work on to get them closer to where they should be, because that might be difficult for a parent to hear, I would imagine. So I don't show those to parents whose child is on level or beyond level, because their child is where they need to be or beyond. So I give them that, and then I've also this time around have shown them their child's last math test. because I need them to see kind of the test and what it looks like, and I need them to hear me kind of explain some issues that maybe I've noticed their child is having on their test. Like when they are asked to explain something, are they really explaining it? So I left notes on the test. So for this particular student, I wanted to point out to the parent that they're not checking answers. If they were answering a question but they didn't fully give, or didn't give a full explanation, I wrote notes on that, and I showed all my notes to the parents so they can kind of be aware of what's happening in math as well. So that has been helpful. And then really the other forms are things that I have to give per the school site that I'm at or the district. So this letter, I'm just going to show you the back of it, is for certain parents whose child qualifies for free, not free, they get $750 worth of free tutoring at Sylvan. So if they qualify for that, I give them this letter informing them of that and let them know they will get more information to follow. This other form, I also am just showing the back because I don't want to put my district's name on it, is a permission slip that parents have to fill out if they want their child to take a student survey for the district, so we can get a gauge on how students feel as a student at my school. And then this last one is just a flyer that I'm handing out because we are hosting a STEM night at our local library. And then the Chipotle in our neighborhood is hosting a restaurant night, and we get 50% of the proceeds from 4 to 9. So I give parents those things, and then of course along the way if they have questions, I'm addressing those questions as well, and then they're able to take all of those things home. So far this year that format has helped, or has worked well. This is the first year that I've used this kind of snapshot sheet, and I like it because it is very comprehensive, but it's not overwhelming in terms of information. So it's just about 5:30, so I'm gonna head out of here and go home. I have to cook. Now I have to make an emergency trip somewhere to buy a flat iron because my hair can't be looking like this every day. And then I'm gonna try and get some work done and drink some more Theraflu because it's still, that head cold is still in there, and it was so tough doing conferences feeling like everything was just draining out. So I'm sure that was TMI, so I'm sorry. But have a great night, everybody. Good morning. Here is my outfit of the day. All of these items today are new with the exception of the accessories I'm wearing. So I'm sure you can guess that this is all from Old Navy. I bought this before the school year started, so I've had it for a while. This is just my first time wearing it. So the top and the pants are from Old Navy, and the pants have like a little print on them, if you can see. And my shoes here are from Aldo, and they're just some flats that I've had for a while. And this necklace I've had for a while, so I'm deciding to wear that with this today. And this black bracelet that I've worn before. My watch is downstairs, so I don't have it on right now, but it will just be a silver watch. So I will see you guys in a little while. Well, it's National Coffee Day, and I have decided to get myself an iced coffee from McDonald's to celebrate. So I am now in the drive-thru. I don't know if I mentioned earlier this week, I can't remember, but I have been sick all week, and it's in some ways gotten a little bit better. I'm not quite as achy, but in other ways it has gotten worse. So I'm very congested in my head, and my nose is just running, and I can't kind of get rid of it. So conferences have been a little bit more challenging for that reason. I am tired. Like, I do feel like I need like a good day of rest, and I haven't been able to get that. But I have been going to bed earlier because I haven't been feeling well, so that's good. But
Yeah, so far, conferences are going okay with the exception of me not feeling well. Yesterday, I had probably the conference that I was most anxious about. I had the conference with my principal because her child is in my class, and that went surprisingly well. Luckily, it didn't feel any different than any of my other conferences. So I was just nervous that it would feel awkward or I would feel intimidated, but I didn't, so that was nice. Today, I only have a few. 1 second. I'm good. Can I have one medium sugar-free iced coffee with 2 Splendas, and that's it? Yes. Thank you. So this morning is going, aside from that, this morning is going better than yesterday. Yesterday, if you noticed, my hair was probably not looking its best because yesterday as I was getting dressed and combing my hair, my flat iron just completely blew out, and I couldn't even fix it because the wiring had come apart. So I had to go to school with about 25% of my hair curled, which was fun. Hi.
Medium ice sugar free vanilla coffee with 2 Splendas.
Yes.
Alright, here you go.
Thank you.
Have a good day, alright?
You too. So, yeah. So everybody thought my hair looked fine at work. I don't think they knew, but I knew, and I just felt like a train wreck all day yesterday. But so I'm just gonna get my coffee. I'm gonna go to my class. It's about 7:10 right now. My first conference is at 7:45. So I'm gonna spend the time that I have before that conference prepping for tomorrow's conferences, because I have not created the forms for the students that I'm conferencing on tomorrow. So my hope is that I can get those done this morning, and then when I'm done with my conferences today, I can just go home. I don't need to cook or anything. I cooked last night. For today, I actually ate soup from Panera, or a broth bowl from Panera for dinner, because I'm trying to get better, but I cooked a Blue Apron meal last night because I had to cook the fish that I had. So when I leave work today, I don't have to cook, so hopefully I can get out even earlier than I have been, go home and just kind of rest a little bit more. But I will check in with you after school to kind of talk about what I go over on conferences in terms of what my conversation points are with parents and the things that have worked for me in the past as far as talking to parents. So I'm going to pick up my coffee and I'm going to head to school. So I will see you later today.
So I just had my conference with Mr. and Mrs. Gomez. This is Marty and John. Hi. And John just shared what he thought, but I wasn't recording, so excuse me. So he, if he wants to, he'll share what he likes to hear as a parent at a parent-teacher conference, and Marty will jump in as well. And they're just kind of giving you their perspective as a parent and their anxieties if they have any. So.
Well, Sophie is our fourth child. 3 of our kids have gone through here at East Heritage, and I think with each one of the kids, it was always something different. I think our first one, we knew what was going to happen. Our second one, third one, not so much. Sophie maybe, but I think the biggest thing is coming in open-minded, because some of our kids sometimes act different, or most of them do, when they're at home versus at school. Mm-hmm. So your child might be crazy at home, but you talk to your teacher, and they're completely different, which is good, I guess, at least in our case.
Yeah.
But you know, I think it's just coming in open-minded and being able to just listen to what the teacher perspective is and how your child is doing, and I like it. I look forward to coming to conferences.
What about you, Marty?
And I think we were saying how teachers are like, "Ooh, I'm a little nervous to say what I'm going to say to the parent," and I'm like, I feel the same way. I feel like I'm nervous too. I want to see how my child is representing us, and are we doing things right? Because sometimes, you know, we take, as parents, we take it personal when your child's not getting straight A's.
Yeah.
And I think as you have more children, the letter grade isn't as important. For us, it's are they doing their best? If their best is C, if their best is B, I'm okay with that.
And do you feel like, I think some teachers feel like they have to show you good grades, or do you, when you look at the grades, are you thinking, oh, the teacher's doing something wrong, or do you feel like it just...
We never have. As parents, we personally haven't done that because I think I know my children. So I know, okay, my child, one of my children is getting a C in math. I'm like, ooh, that's good for him because he struggles in math, or he couldn't get, you know, certain things. That's perfect. Another child, if she was getting a B, I knew she was an A student. So we personally, as parents, never, the teacher, her teaching never reflected on our children. We thought our children reflect on the teacher. They needed to pay attention a little bit more.
Do you think, like, if you had a child that was struggling, because I think this is what teachers are anxious the most, would you rather they just tell you what the situation is and not kind of sugarcoat it?
No,
Tell me.
I think the teachers, and I get it from their point of view, like maybe nervous because, you know, as a teacher, as anyone, you don't want to tell somebody else that, hey, this is what your kids are doing, or this is what they're not doing right. I think as a teacher and as a parent, well, as a teacher, I think I understand them being nervous, about, especially if the grades aren't good or the progress report isn't good. But as a parent, I think we want to hear that. We want to hear what's really going on. That way, if we can help correct it, then we can, which I'm sure we can, because it's just some little change we got to do at home or something. But I understand, like, a teacher's point of view, like they're kind of nervous about having to go talk about it. But I don't think this should be, because as a parent, that you want to hear what's really going on, because that way you can, if it's bad, then you can fix it. You know, but if it's good, then great. Then you know, everybody always wants to hear good things about their kids. You know.
And I think one of the things as teachers, what we need to do is try and like I know you guys as parents, but I also feel like I know you guys as people, and I think that helps. Like, if I need to tell a parent something and we have some sort of a relationship, then you know, like, it's coming from the right place and you can trust the teacher. So I think that's what teachers also need to focus on. Like, I think some teachers go into conferences feeling like they have to be super, like, focused on the conference and very professional. So I know I try and just have like a couple of minutes where we're just like learning about each other's families and people, so that you have that kind of relationship. But
I want to be friends with you.
I know, we are friends.
Right, I want to be friends, because I figure if my child's going to be with you 6 hours, 8 hours a day, I want to be friends with you. I want you to be able to tell me, hey, Sophie was off today, or Sophie did great today, either or. I want you to be able to comfortable to tell me both things.
So Marty's so nice. We're such friends. She always calls me babe, and I know she calls everybody babe, but it just makes me feel like, it does make me feel like, oh, Marty's my friend. Like, I have her kid, but we're gonna go to lunch one day. We're gonna go to lunch one day. So I just wanted to share a couple of parents with you. They are luckily very nice parents, and not everyone's gonna feel that way, but for the most part, most parents that you're dealing with, they really just want to know how their child's doing, and they're just as nervous as you are, but they want to find out what they need to find out. So I want you to take a good look at them again. Say bye, Marty and John.
Bye, guys.
I'll talk to you guys later, and I will see you guys soon. Good morning, happy Friday. Here is my outfit of the day. It's my Friday uniform, jeans, either a school shirt or a shirt that is in school colors. So these jeans are my Old Navy jeans. This is a t-shirt that I bought from J. Crew Factory a couple years ago. And I'm wearing my tan sandals from DSW. I'm trying this watch out today. It's a Michael Kors watch that I often forget that I have. And then I'm wearing a little necklace here. And that's it. So I will see you guys in a little while. Have a great Friday morning. It is 5:10 and I am officially done with conference week. I finished my last conference maybe a little over an hour ago, and for the last hour or so I've been cleaning up my classroom and kind of switching things over, because when we get back to school on Monday it will be October, so I switched out my books, calendars, and things like that. So I wanted to wrap up this vlog with just some, I guess, just some final thoughts on conducting parent conferences and what I think helps to get you through conference week in a positive manner. So I think what I want to say is, a couple of staff meetings ago, we saw a video clip where it was a parent from a school in Washington, D.C., and she was either from a school in Washington, D.C., or she was from the area. I can't really remember, but the school or the area that she was from was a struggling district. I know that much. And I think the district had an initiative in which they wanted to really get parents engaged, and part of parent engagement was just kind of reaching out to parents and getting to know parents as human beings and people, and kind of letting parents see you as a human being and a person and not just a teacher. And so they had a clip of a mom who was basically saying that she really appreciated that. Like, she appreciated the fact that throughout the school year, her child's teacher made a point to contact her for times where her daughter was doing really well and had, you know, positive things going on for the day, as well as when things weren't going so great. And she said that because the teacher had done such a good job of contacting her for good times as equally as bad times, when that teacher did have to contact her because maybe her daughter was not having her best day, she was more receptive to what the teacher had to say, because at that point she knew the teacher was coming from a good place and really truly cared for her child. So the reason why I bring that up is because that's kind of the approach that I try and take with my parent-teacher conferences. I'd like to think by this point that the parents that I've actually met or have had a chance to interact with at least have some sense of who I am, not just as a teacher, as Miss Robinson, but who I am as a person, and you know, where I stand in teaching based on who I am as a person, so that if I have to give them some difficult information in the conference, that they know I'm only telling them these things because I need them to know, and because I'm really ultimately just concerned about the well-being of their child as a student, or socially if it's a social issue. And I think for me, that's what has made my conferences be successful. I've never had one, or I've never had a conference where it really just was extremely tense, or the parent was upset, or I felt like things weren't going well, because I try and keep a balance of, you know, just letting them see a little bit of who I am and giving them the information. So I know yesterday, Marty and I were talking about how, you know, she wants to feel like she's my friend. And honestly, I want my parents to feel like, yes, I'm your child's teacher, but I am interested in your life and what you're interested in, and I'd like you to know a little bit about me, so that we have more of a very open relationship, you know, open and not open like I'm telling you all my business, basically, so that if there's ever a time where I need to tell you something, you know the person that I am and where it's coming from. And so I think that's very crucial. So in each of my conferences, I know there's been at least a second, a minute or two where we're not really even talking about their child's academic progress or social progress. I'm asking them some questions about, you know, their life or their family life, or I'm letting them know a little bit about me and my background and how I grew up, or my experiences as a student. And it puts them at ease, and it makes them feel more comfortable. And so there were a few conferences that I had this year that could have been very tense. One was a mom who, her son, I had to have him write a letter because he threw one of his math tests away. And so I didn't think the mom had seen the test, so I had the son write a letter explaining what he had done, and I had her sign the letter and the test, so I knew she saw it. And she wrote a note back that kind of made it sound like she felt like I was accusing her or her son of not having, or not communicating, or she just kind of took offense to the fact that I had her son do that. And so when I had our conference, we got through all the business of the conference, but I did make a point to go back to that and just clarify and say, you know, that's not what my intention was. I just really wanted to make sure that you were seeing his grade at work, because I don't ever want a parent to feel blindsided when grades come. And she said thank you, because she really appreciated me going back and just kind of clarifying. So it didn't turn negative, because I said, you know, I just want to connect with her and make sure she understands who I am and where I'm coming from. The second conference that I had that could have gone very difficultly, or not that's not even a word, that could have been very stressful is the one that I had with my principal, because I said in one of my very first vlogs, I do have my principal's son in my class, and that could have just gone wrong just for the simple fact that I could have sat down and felt nervous and, you know, maybe tried to sugarcoat something or not really been myself in the process of that conference. But as soon as I started, I had to just remind myself, right now, she's not your principal, she's a parent, and this is her child, and she wants to know how her child is doing, so just treat it as you would any other conference. And that went really smoothly, and that was a huge weight off my shoulders. I've had a teacher's child in my class before, and that's already a little awkward, but just because you feel that little extra pressure. But to have your principal's child is a whole nother thing, and so that went very smoothly. Both her and her husband were very nice, and I did make sure to go to her and thank her for making what could have been a very stressful situation very easy, quite honestly. And then the third conference that I had that could have really gone south was the one I had this morning. This particular parent, I met her for the first time yesterday. She was very unhappy because she feels like some members of the staff have made comments to her daughter in regards to her dress and dress code, and she didn't really appreciate it. And she let me know that yesterday after lunch very forcefully. And it was a little tense, like for lack of a better word or term, she pretty much told me off right after lunch yesterday. And so this morning I had her conference first thing, and I really just told myself I'm just gonna pretend like that exchange never happened. I'm gonna give her the information I need her to know about her daughter, and we'll go from there. And she came in, she was fine, I was fine, and as much as I wanted to kind of mention something about yesterday, I just didn't, because that just wouldn't have been professional, and we just went on about her business. We finished, she was very pleasant, she told me to have a nice day, and it was fine. So I think to have a successful conference week, you just have to be confident in what you're doing. You have to be honest with parents, whether you need to tell them something really good about their child, or you need to tell them something that is not necessarily bad, but maybe just some tough information for them to hear, whether it's their child is not performing the way they should be, or socially they're not doing what they need to be. At the end of the day, like Marty said, a parent, they want to know. They want to know what's going on and what they can do. So that is it. I hope that the little bits that I was able to share with you guys about conference week is helpful. I am done. I am good. I am feeling much better. There were a couple conferences where I had a full-on coughing fit and was, you know, holding back the tears from the coughing, but I feel a whole lot better. So I'm gonna go home, edit the vlog as always on a Friday, and relax and just take some time for me. So I hope you guys had a great week. If you have not had conferences yet, I hope that you have a successful conference week like I did. And that's it. This is the end of week 8. So we are going to start week 9. We are just a few weeks away from the end of this trimester, so that's crazy. So have a great weekend. I will see you guys Monday, and I hope all is well and all remains well. Bye, everybody. How did this day go? This day was a little on the challenging side. Sometimes my class will start off really well, like the mornings will be going smooth.